So after I uploaded my James Bond ranking video, I completely forgot that last year I started a series of Star Wars videos. And I thought, well, instead of just sitting around waiting to hear more Episode 9 news, let's do something Star Wars related. So I'm gonna continue and finish this year my series of Star Wars videos leading up to Episode 9 in December. This video is gonna be for Revenge of the Sith. Then I'm gonna redo my review for Rogue One. I'm gonna do the original trilogy, and then The Force Awakens. I already did my Last Jedi review back when the Blu-ray came out. I did Solo back when that came out last year. So this one's just mainly covering the movies that I haven't talked about yet. So let's get started. Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith is the third movie in the prequel trilogy, and it's the one that fans really wanted to see, and it's even the one that George Lucas said he wanted to make the most, because this is the movie where we finally got to see Anakin Skywalker turn into Darth Vader. It's what we were supposed to see from the beginning in Episode 1 and 2, but for some reason they barely touched upon it. Anyway, we got to see it here in Revenge of the Sith, and honestly, I really like Revenge of the Sith. I wasn't a big fan of Episode 1 and 2, but Revenge of the Sith, ever since I saw it, I really enjoyed it. I know there's still a lot of people that hate this movie, and don't get me wrong, this movie has problems. A lot of the previous problems from the previous two movies are present in this movie, but this is definitely the most enjoyable of the prequel trilogy. Right off the bat watching the movie, after the opening crawl, the movie ends with this gigantic space battle above Coruscant, and right away the CGI in this movie is a lot better. There's still some times where it's a little noticeable, but with Episode 1 and 2, it's like almost every CGI element was fake and noticeable. Here, it's mainly realistic and good, with a few elements of fake. It's kind of weird how it worked that way. It was only a couple year gap between 2 and 3, and it looks better. Anyway, that's the biggest plus of this movie, is that while you still know it's CGI because of the previous two movies, it's better. It just looks better, and that's a big plus that they did. They still used a lot of green screen for the scenery, and some of the green screen is noticeable in this one, but like I said, for the most part, it's impressive. It looks a lot better. And I really like in this movie Anakin and Obi-Wan. Something that Episode 2 just kind of ignored and did something completely different with was that Anakin and Obi-Wan were supposed to be best friends. And here in this movie, you really get a sense that these guys are really good best friends. Episode 2 was kind of like a father-son thing, and my biggest problem with that was you don't buy that these guys were eventually going to become best friends. Here, since we started off with them being best friends from the very beginning of the movie, you really buy it. And their chemistry, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, they have really good chemistry, and they play off each other really well in the movie, although Hayden Christensen's line delivery, much like Episode 2, is still really bad for the most part. He does have some pretty good moments in Revenge of the Sith. It's mainly the stuff where he's not talking. But again, I don't really blame that on him. I mainly blame it in the direction and the script writing from George Lucas, because he's done good movies before. Shattered Glass is, I think, one of the most underrated movies of all time, and he's phenomenal in that movie. So I mainly blame the script and George Lucas's direction with these characters. Why Anakin Skywalker isn't what we thought Anakin Skywalker would be, but him and Obi-Wan have great chemistry together. And even though this movie is the darkest of the prequel trilogy, there's honestly a lot of moments that felt more lighthearted. Episode 1 and 2 were kind of serious. You know, they're serious political movies, and while this movie does have serious political moments that just bore the shit out of you, you don't care about it, there are some light-hearted moments in the movie, which was a nice welcome, because the original trilogy, it had light-hearted moments, and it was fun mostly. Episode 1 and 2 don't really seem like fun movies like the original trilogy did. This is honestly the first prequel movie that feels like a Star Wars movie. It doesn't feel like a political space drama like what they tried to do with Episode 1 and 2. It feels like this belongs in the original Star Wars lore. At least for me, it does. Now, like I said in the beginning, this is the movie where Anakin finally turns into Darth Vader. We've been waiting for this for 2 movies, and we do get that. However, his actual turn to the dark side is really, really bad. Honestly, I didn't want to admit to myself back when I first saw it, but I was kind of let down with how they handled it. But now when I watch it, I'm still really let down with how they handled his turn. Hayden Christensen's line delivery, like I said, is mainly bad in these movies, but here in this moment where he actually turns to the dark side, it's really, really bad. I don't know what they were thinking. Ian McDermott, however, sells it as the Emperor. He's probably the best character of these prequel trilogies besides Obi-Wan. But I don't know. I was kind of let down when I first saw it, but I didn't want to admit it to myself. Now, when I actually watch these movies, I can say with confidence, for some reason with confidence, that it's a really bad line delivery. And the way he gives Vader his name, the way the Emperor gives Darth Vader his name, it's kind of weird. It's like it felt like it felt like a movie moment. Like, he's supposed to say it, and they try to make it seem like he came up with it on the spot, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like, oh, he's supposed to say it's Darth Vader, so he just said it. He says it like, "You shall be known as Darth Vader," and then the music starts, and it's like, could have done that better. But the biggest highlight of this movie, and what everyone loves about this movie, is the lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin at the very end of the movie. Obi-Wan has to kill Anakin, and Yoda has to kill the Emperor. And these two lightsaber battles are intertwined together. And it's actually well handled and well filmed. And I do like the lightsaber fight with Anakin and Obi-Wan. However, it does go on a bit too long for my liking. It starts off really great. It starts off powerful. They're really swinging their lightsabers at each other. The music is rising, and you're really into it. And then towards the end, they're balancing themselves on beams to get away from each other. They're holding on to this giant building type thing that's riding in the lava on Mustafar. They're swinging on wires, and then they land on these platforms where they look like they're video game characters from Mortal Kombat. I don't know, once they get on that platform that falls into the lava, it becomes a little too cartoony for me, It felt too over the top for this lightsaber fight. This is supposed to be a dramatic and kind of heartbreaking lightsaber fight, and it is that for the most part, but when we get to that damn building that falls into the lava, it's a reminder that these movies are aimed towards children. Weirdly enough to say, but once Obi-Wan gets on the high ground, like all the memes say, the lightsaber fight ends perfectly. It brought back that heartbreakingness that it started with, and it started great, it ended great. It's just that one part towards the end I just felt was a little too much. And then, of course, we get the scene where Anakin gets put into the Vader costume, and it's a really great moment when Vader starts breathing. These scenes are also intertwined with each other, Padme's death and the birth of Darth Vader. When Darth Vader starts breathing, Padme stops breathing, and it was a really cool thing. There's little itty-bitty moments like that throughout this movie that are really, really great, and I wish there would have been more of it. But nevertheless, it happened. The movie's made. We got to take what we can take. And when Vader emerges off the table, it's pretty cool for the most part. But when he yells that damn no, it's like, you killed the moment again. It's very similar to my complaint with the lightsaber fight. You had it going. It was great, and then you just went, all right. It became a running Darth Vader joke on the internet at this point, so I guess something came out of it. So after those two scenes, Luke Skywalker gets taken to Tatooine, Leia gets taken with Organa, and episode 3 just kind of wraps up, You're like, when the movie ended, I sat there and I was like, yeah, this is a good ending, okay. The movie had its issues, but this ending was fitting. It was fitting for the prequel trilogy. I felt it was fitting to get into the original Star Wars trilogy. Everything just kind of wrapped up without being overdrawn too much. And honestly, if we never got another Star Wars movie, like if Disney never bought Lucasfilm and we didn't get 7, Rogue One, 8, and Solo, and these new movies we're going to get, this ending would have been satisfactory for me. So episode 3 does have a lot of problems that the first two movies did, but this is easily the best of the prequel movies, and it's easily the more enjoyable one of the prequel trilogy. So Star Wars Episode 3 has some really great moments, has some really shitty moments, and if this movie were to come out in theaters, I would have say, if you're a hardcore fan, go see it right now. But if you're more of a casual Star Wars fan, you can probably wait for the Redbox for this one. You're not missing too much if you're a casual fan. Like I said, good moments, but really shitty moments. Best of the prequel trilogy, though. That's basically all I can say about this one. So my next Star Wars review is going to be a re-review for Rogue One, because my initial review back when that movie first came out isn't the way I feel about the movie now. I'll just say that, and then I'll do the original trilogy, Force Awakens, and hopefully by then we'll have some Episode 9 news to go off of. But for right now, we still got these movies. So let me know your thoughts and opinion on the Star Wars prequel trilogy and Episode 3 in general in the comments section. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, click right here. And I'll see you guys next time.